Okay, so now let's work on putting the image on the clock. And again, there's actually a number of things you can do and a number of ways you can do it. So I'm just going to give one serving suggestion here. All right. So I could actually just download an image and then use Lightburn, okay, this software here, to actually put the image onto it directly. But that tends to be kind of slow because it ends up rastering the entire thing. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace an outline of the image, and then I'm going to use those outline traces to designate how I want the laser to behave under certain circumstances, or what areas you want it to be. It gives it a nice sharp contrast as well. So let's do that. So to start with, what I have to do is I have to get an image. And since I work at George School, I thought, well, I'll just use the George School logo here, and the mascot. And so I just found one online and I downloaded it. Okay. So now that that's been done, let's go to our clock. And what I want to do now is I want to put that image on here, and I'm going to use it to trace. And again, the best thing probably to do is to create a layer that we're going to use just for that image. So let's create a new layer. Sorry, the computer has been not run since last night. There we go. And let's call this our picture layer. And say OK. Because what I want to do is I want to put the picture on this layer, and that way I can just turn it on and off, hide it from view, so I can kind of check my work. So I've got the picture layer highlighted. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to import an image. And it's in my downloads, so I'm going to click on GS logo, open it, and it's going to ask me where do you want it. So I'm going to turn snaps on. Alright, and it's a huge image. Look at that. Wow. Okay. So obviously we're going to have to scale that down. I'm just going to put it right here on the origin. And then we have this huge image. So we're going to have to scale it. So I'm still working within that directory. I'm going to select my giant image. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to scale. And scale wants some sort of reference point where you could actually choose the center and shrink it all toward the middle. I'm actually going to go back to the origin and shrink it all toward the origin. And it's going to come up with the scale. And this becomes a little difficult. Unlike some where you can just kind of drag it, we do actually have to put in how you want it scaled. And I want it scaled proportionally isotropic. And honestly, I don't know. Probably, I would think, at least 0.5. Let's take a look at that. Oh, that was pretty good. It's still too big. Let's go ahead and shrink that again. So select my image. I'm going to go to scale and choose my scale reference point, and I'm going to go well, maybe I'll go to 0.8, see what that looks like. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my image. Okay, and to do that, probably you can do it a couple of ways. Again, I have snaps on, so it might be difficult to get it exactly where I want, but we'll kind of see. It looks like it's about the right size. I'm going to turn off snaps so I have a little more liberty to move it exactly where I want. I think I'm going to have to shrink it just a little bit more, so I'm going to right click, I'm going to go on scale. In this case I will actually shrink it kind of to the middle and put it right here. That looks like, where's the middle? Probably about there. And then let's make it, I don't know, let's try just doing 0.9. That's pretty good. I'm going to kind of center it a little bit more. Bring it down just a little bit more. Alright, I'm happy with that. I'm going to work with that. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to create another layer that I can use. Actually probably create a couple of layers. When I look at this, you can see we have essentially 3 different shades. We've got this, no etching at all. Alright, so this would be the lightest part. we've got this sort of gray thing here, and we got this dark color here. All right, so we have three different shades we want to deal with. The easiest one is probably to do the gray. So I'm going to call that, I'm going to go ahead and create another layer, and I'm going to call that my light face. And I think I'll make it a color. I think I'll make it cyan. I can always change it. Alright, so now light face is selected, so whatever we do we can trace on here. Now I'm going to need to go to all kinds of points that are not on a grid. So I'm going to make sure that my grid is turned off. Now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do a spline through points. Now this is important. See, I have this option up here to do it either open or closed. In this case, let me show you the difference real quick. An open one would be what I would do if I wanted to do just a line. Okay? And I could do that, but it becomes problematic to make sure that if I'm trying to draw around a specific thing, I got to guarantee that I actually connect it to that point. All right? And again, it can't look like it. As you zoom in, it's probably not connected. There it is. So that would leak. So it would not etch it properly. The other thing to do is to simply force it to work in a closed loop. All right. So again, if I go here and I go to my spline through points, I can select closed. And now whatever I do, it's actually going to be like dragging a giant rubber band, and it's going to produce a closed loop. Okay, so I'm going to use that method. So let's zoom out, and we'll zoom in. Okay, and I'm going to do escape that, and I'm going to do a spline through points. It's going to be closed. And it's really not that, it's amazing how kind of quickly you can do this. I'm just going to kind of do a couple of points. And I'm not going to, it's amazes me sometimes how inaccurate you can actually be, and it still looks remarkably good. And you'll notice how, if you get it, I'm going maybe a little faster than I should, but you just got to get close. And then that line will eventually just kind of fold and bend and stretch. It's important to hit the vertices, and usually a point close thereby. So I'll talk again about that when I get up closer to the tip of the ear. And you'll be able to move these actually after you're done. You'll be able to edit it. So like on a point like this, I tend to put one kind of close, one at the apex, another one kind of close, and then I can kind of spread out again. And we'll come down, something like that, and then right click it to finish it. Okay? And there we have our outline. And if I turn off my image, you can see there's the outline. And again, like I said, if you want to, think, oh man, I really don't want that flat top on there. And you can zoom in on it, and as long as you grab the actual blue points, okay, you can move them and then rearrange it. Alright, so let me turn my picture back on. So that means that when I go to the software, everything inside of here is going to be etched. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to create some exclusions of that etch. So the exclusions in this case is going to be these white parts. So let's go ahead and do those, and I'll probably pause it during part of this because again, you don't need to watch me. I will do this one first. Alright, I'm going to start at one of these vertices. And fact is, I'm going to pause it now because I think you got the idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so I've kind of finished doing these, the eye, the eyebrow, this cheek, and this one here. I've ignored this one for the moment because I'm realizing that this is very symmetrical. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a mirror image of these. So if I turn off the pick, for example, you'll see that I've got these 4 objects here. So I'm going to select these 4 objects. And like that. Okay, so now they're selected. And I'm going to go ahead and mirror them. So to do that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select mirror, and then I want to create a mirror line. I'm assuming this little peak is dead center on the image, so I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then you can see it already as a ghosty image there. All you want to do is drag it down until it lines up pretty much where you want it, which I think is going to be, you know, there. Click it, and then I'm going to keep original, say OK, and now you can see if I turn off, I've got the symmetry that I've wanted. So the last thing is just to trace this guy, and I'll come back and I'll show you that. I'm going to pause it for a moment. Okay, so I think I've finished that. Hit escape to get out of the, there we go, and we can turn off the picture. You can see I've got that. So if I raster this is all going to be gray, and it's going to exclude these points here. Okay, so I'll be able to get a nice light gray against white. So now what we have to do is we have to work on the darker one. This one's going to take a little more thought because it's kind of mixed up. You know, I can go around the outer edge for sure, okay, but now I need to close it off somehow. And I can't just go like this around it, because then I won't have this area closed off. So I'm going to play with a little bit, and I'll show you what I come up with. This might take a couple of pieces to get it right, so give me a moment. Well, actually, I'm going to start with a new layer. I'm going to call this new layer the dark face, like that. And then I'm going to make this, I haven't used red, I'll use red. And say OK. Alright, and I will start it by tracing around this big outer edge, but then I'll pause and we'll get going on it. I'll show you what I do. Alright, so I'm just going to start, I'm going to start right here at the ear and work my way around. Alright, but again, I'm going to pause and I'll show you what I end up coming up with. Okay, so I generally finished the outline here. I'm going to turn off the pick, and I'm going to turn off light face. And you can see that now, if this etches, it'll etch all this here, because this will be the exclusion line, this will be the inclusion line, so that'll be there. So we still have to do the eyes, and we have to do this little chin piece here. And I think I'll take advantage, again, of the mirror. Alright, so I'm just going to do this eye, and then I'll show you how we can copy our images that we've already done. For example, we don't need to redo, oh, I guess we do have to do that triangle there, but we don't need to redo this chin or these eye pieces here, because we'll just copy those into our new drawing. So let me get started on this. So I'm going to still work in the dark face, and I'm going to do this eye and this forehead right now. So let me get started on it, and then once again I will pause, and I'm going to zoom in on this eye. I'm only going to do one eye because I'm going to use the mirror again. Alright, so I'm going to pause it while I finish going around this eye. Okay, so I've made some headway here. You can see that I've got this outline. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select it, and then I've got 30 seconds, and then we'll have to start a new video. And I'm going to go ahead and mirror it, and I'm going to choose this line here again. I have to turn on the picture so I can sort of see, and we want to get it about right there. Okay, and we want to keep the original. So I will stop this and start a new one shortly.